hearing those speeches in full. Next, thousands of dogs will be slaughtered at an annual dog-eating festival which has begun in southwest China. That's despite a petition signed by 11 million people, handed into Beijing by celebrities and campaigners, that calls for it to be banned. Here's a short film about how the festival began and what happens there. Some of the images we're going to show over the next 10 minutes or so are graphic, and you may not want young children to see them. The Lychee Dog Meat Festival, known as the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, is an annual event where roughly 10 to 15,000 dogs and cats are slaughtered for their meat. It takes place this week in the city of Yulin. That's in a largely rural and poor region of China. The Chinese tradition of eating dog meat dates back around 500 years and is believed to ward off the heat of summer. Around 10 to 20 million dogs are killed for their meat each year in the country. This festival began in 2010 to celebrate the summer solstice. While slaughtering dogs is common in China, the festival is seen to represent the cruelty of the largely unregulated industry. Some of the animals killed are stolen pets, still wearing their collars as they die. Others are sent to the festival in small cages, without food or water, having travelled hundreds of miles. The animals tend to be slaughtered whilst they're still alive. Some restaurant owners claim their adrenaline-rich meat makes it tastier.
We are here asking you to stop the cruelty.
Stop the torture. Stop the stabbing.
While there's no law in the UK saying you can't eat a cat or a dog, there are laws around killing them. People in Western countries see dogs as their pets. It's different in China, where they're not viewed with the same level of affection. However, it's not the only country where people eat these kinds of animals. Well, let's talk now to Jill Robinson, founder of Animals Asia Foundation, also Peter Egan, actor and campaigner, and Rebecca Powell, Conservative MP and chair of the Animal Welfare All-Party Parliamentary Group, and also Andrea Gung, founder of the Do Do project that aims to change people's perceptions about dogs in Yulin. Andrea, tell us how you're trying to do that.
I have been to Yulin many times because I really want to end the dog meat trade, not just a dog meat festival. Because we have to understand, in Yulin, people eat dogs year-round, not just on one day. On this day, dog meat festival, they just eat more dogs. So after I've been there many times, I talked to a lot of local people. I realized to totally end this practice, we just have to change people's mindset. No consumption, no killing. So that's what I decided. We're going to reach out to community throughout different events, program to educate people, to make them look dog from different perspective. Don't look at them as a food. Look at them as a companion, and educate them and teach them how valuable dogs are for human beings.
Peter, the dog-eating industry, that culture in China goes back hundreds of years. I wonder how long do you predict it will take to stop the Yulin Festival, if ever?
But I think Jill will be best to talk about it as far as that's concerned, because she works very much at the coalface as far as those issues are concerned. I think it will happen. I think because there is a huge amount of public shock at what's to do with the cruelty, really. It's how the animal is dispatched. And I'm not suggesting that we do things better here, and I'm not criticizing, if you want to call it culture, but it's a disastrous process and very horrible, and it must stop. But I think Jill will be better.
Go ahead, Jill.
Well, I think the issue in Yulin, it's actually, you know, part of a problem countrywide, as Andrea was saying. You know, that I think the community at large now wants dog eating to end, because what they're recognising now is that these are dogs that are stolen from the streets, from people's loving family homes, almost 100% of these animals. So it's becoming a social disharmony issue in China. It's also becoming a public health issue as well, because many of these dogs are poisoned with cyanide. So those diseased dogs, that toxic meat, as well, is also entering the food chain in China too. So a lot more people are beginning to understand that perspective as well.
From a politician's point of view, what are you doing about this, Rebecca?
Well, it is always very difficult for one government or country to pronounce that they don't like what another country eats. So one has to tread carefully with this. You can't come in as a sort of cultural imperialist saying we don't like you eating dog meat. After all, they eat guinea pigs in South America. But it's not something, obviously, we would do in this country because dogs are pets to us. So it's a cultural change. And our government, the debates have been held in Parliament on this. There was one back in November, actually calling for a ban, but our Minister, James Dudridge, has promised he will write to governments, he will speak to them. We will do the softly approach. But there is leverage there, and I think one of the big levers is probably going about it through encouraging behavioural change, as Andrea is suggesting, but also the health aspect, because rabies is a really big issue, and the incidence of rabies in Yulin province is the highest, I believe, in China, and it's believed this is largely connected with the high incidence of eating dogs that have got rabies, because hardly, I think, 1 in 10 dogs, possibly even that, are vaccinated for rabies in China. And there's a real risk of catching it from the slaughterhouses, from the butchering, and from eating it. And there's no regime to control that. And it contravenes all the World Health Organization, standards. So that would, I suggest, be a good way that we can start to influence, aside from all the ghastly things they do in slaughterhouses. We need to encourage adoption of much better methods and standards.
How are some of these animals killed for this festival?
Oh, goodness. Well, they're beaten over the heads. They have knives put through their jugulars. They're sometimes put fully conscious into boiling water to strip the fur from their bodies. So the cruelty is rife across the country. But again, I think the point is that so many local groups now in China, 150 local groups. I was just at a conference last week in Xi'an, in Shaanxi province, where local groups, where the government officials, where the police were coming along, just talking about these issues, and how they can address the problem of dog ownership management in China. So, for example, the police are lowering the registration for people to have dogs. They're lowering the prices of vaccinations. They're making it much easier for people to have dogs in the community. And they're obviously slowly being able to see that dogs have a benefit in society. We have a dog-to-dog program, for example, which is animal therapy across 4 provinces in the country, where people recognise the good that dogs bring into the community. So it's a shift, as Rebecca was saying, of public perception as well.
Peter, in terms of you supporting this campaign, what is it that is motivating you?
Well, basically, my care for animal welfare. I think it is worth pointing out that there is, as Jill has said, a growing concern for the lives of animals in China, and I think we have to resist taking powerful positions because of the media attention and the horrible images that you see on television and on the internet. And you also see a whole variety of small groups that come up waving a very powerful banner, which creates a very cultural problem, I think, with dealing with this very, very serious problem. Which is why I support so much what the big charities do, and certainly Animals Asia, which is to work from within and to spread the vital concept of animal welfare and care for our companions, and dogs are central to that point of view. They are our best friends, and they deserve better, as indeed all animals deserve better from humans on this planet.
Andrea, briefly, final thought from you in terms of you trying to change people's perceptions of dogs. How much success do you think you're having?
Yes, this come back to the other question is it hopeful? Yes, I have to add, it's very, very hopeful. And how soon you were asking, I would say not very long, because what happened in China is, you must know China has this one-child policy in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Every family can only have one child. Now, this one-child generation in their 30s now, who did they grow up with? They have no siblings, so they grew up with pets, dogs, cats, bunnies, turtles. So they love their pets as much as we do. So they hated this dog meat trade as much as we do. Okay. A lot of young people, they lost their pets to the dog meat trade. That's why they learned about it. Then they become the the die-hard activists try to change it. So now they're in their 30s, so they go and work for the government, they go work for the media. So they're internet savvy, so they spread the message like wildfire.
Okay.
So I'm very hopeful this young generation will end this cruel trade in the near future.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to leave it there, but thank you so much for coming on the programme. Thank you.